Hello, and welcome to What Happens in This House Stays in This House, Strength Over Silence podcast. I'm your host, Tammy Montgomery Dozier, and once again, thank you for listening. I am very excited for this week's guest. I have the one and only Shawn Mitchell. Please say hello, Shawn.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Miss Dozier. How are you this evening?
I'm doing pretty good. What about you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. Hey, thanks for having me.
I truly appreciate you being on here. You know, we have a lot to talk about. I want everybody to get to know who you are. So please tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a simple guy, down-to-earth guy, blessed and highly favored guy, and I just like to share my blessings with others. I learned a long time ago that as I'm blessed, when you bless others, the blessings just keep on coming.
That is very true. That is very true. Being thankful is what's needed these days as well. So you own your own business. Tell us about that.
I do. That's what I do. First, I gave you a little bit about myself. So what I do is I own an education tutorial facility that is a full capacity program of summer camps, mentoring, tutoring, one-on-one. We now, because of the pandemic, have online one-on-one tutoring as part of our everyday schedule. Yeah, that's been something that we have gained being in this time. I was a coach for 16 years. I just retired from that. I'm a father. I'm a husband first, father. I love traveling with my family, and that's basically it. I'm a big promoter. I believe that our motto is give children a direct link to education, which gives them an opportunity to be successful.
So let me ask you this. Is this something that you always wanted to deal with kids? Is this something that there was a passion of yours when you went to school? So you know what, this is what I want to do. Is this something that you...
I'm going to keep it 1,000 with you. No.
Really?
Now, don't get me wrong. When I was 16, I grew up in the projects, and a young man had a work study program in the projects where I lived. And he said he saw something different in me from a lot of the other guys in the community, a lot of kids in the community. So he asked me would I be interested in helping him with his work study program after school. And I said, sure. He said he paid me $25 a week. And I said, hey, that sounded good at that time.
Right.
So he asked my mother, and she said, okay. And that was the first experience I had with working with children and helping with homework after school. I went off to college and to major in urban planning. So I didn't think I would be doing anything working with children again. I took a couple of mentorship programs just for electives because I had experience at it from high school, but it was nothing more than that. My wife, she was the director at KinderCare, where she got a promotion to director at KinderCare. She was there for 17 years. And so when she was promoted to director, she was bringing kids home before that, parents that were late. So it kind of, she would bring them home, she would feed them, and the parents really loved her for doing that and above and beyond. And so when she was promoted, she said, well, I can't do this any longer because I'm trying to turn this center around and I'm going to have to stop doing this. And we had just moved here. I was still in transition from our move from downstate. So I said, you know what, do it, take it and turn it into a work study program. So with the 6 students in the home, I started, it was Big Sean's work study at that. Yeah, from there, that's where it came from, where it grew from.
That is amazing, because sometimes you just get pushed into stuff. You never know where God has you going. You just going through life like, oh, okay, you have your plan. Sometimes you have your own plans, but it doesn't always work out that way.
Hey, that's right. What they say, Tammy, if you want to make God chuckle, just tell him your plan.
I know. So you were saying that your business suffered with the pandemic. So I know that kids were being taught from home and different things like that. So I can imagine that since they were being taught from home, you wouldn't have any after school kids. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it caught us so off guard. I'm going to tell you how off guard we were. We had just had a youth fashion show, the Friday before. Then we came back Friday. We were discussing our schedule, upcoming summer program and everything. We were discussing that Friday night. Monday we come back, and then that's when they said the next day, that Tuesday, which was the 17th, we were going to be closed because they closed all the government. I'm considered a government building. So all of the government buildings in the village of Madison were shut down. So we had to this impromptu as that was shut down. So we was able managed to keep a few of our essential parents' children, and
Uh-huh.
I decided to take it back to what I knew, back to the home.
Okay.
So it was just small nucleus of us. We knew each other, we trusted each other with our arrangement and our relationship, and that we would make sure we did everything according to the guidelines, CDC guidelines, to make sure we remain safe. And we have, and now we're looking to get back into the building on Monday.
Oh, that is great. That is an excellent thing. So, well, over the years, I know that you have worked with a lot of kids. So let me ask you this. How do the parenting styles differ now from when you first started? Because you've been in it for quite some time. So I'm sure things have changed.
Yeah, give you an idea. When I first started, I was younger than my parents.
Okay.
And now I'm the age of or older than the grandparents of my kids.
Oh, wow.
So it has been a change. It's a lot more grandparent involvement with the children nowadays. The grandparents, they're really a huge part of the success of the children. So kudos to the parents, to the grandparents. I always make sure I make sure they understand how appreciated they are. But a lot of parents nowadays, they're so consumed. I'm going to say that again. They are consumed with making sure their children have every gizmo and gadget that the classmate or the kid across the street has. They're busy keeping up with the Joneses and making sure that their kids keep up with the Jones kids. So it's inbreeding a certain type of ideology that I'm entitled to this material things. And that within itself, it creates selfishness, a lot of just mean type of behavior. And so it's something that we really had to, actually with my board, I sit down and it's something that we really had to put something in place as a part of the curriculum for work study. When you come, it's kind of a training that we put our kids through to help so they can see themselves.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because sometimes they don't know that they're being mean. They don't know that they're being selfish. If they're an only child or they're in a house where they're given everything they want. Another thing I've noticed is you can't tell a child something once anymore.
And they listen. They don't have that fear.
Right. You can't. It's like they already expect that you're going to say it more than once. So the first time is in one ear and out the other, if it even gets in the ear. So we had to put something in place for that. We tell you something one time, and if you don't hear it the first time, then we have to redirect you to understand the importance of listening the first time around.
With the day and age that we're in with social media, how does social media affect our youth on today?
That's a great question, and it's going to kind of be a part of the other thing I said when I was talking about the single parent. This social media, it doesn't discriminate on households. It doesn't matter if it's a single parent household or a two parent household. If parents don't take responsibility of being aware of what your child is doing on social media can destroy the walls that you thought you created for your child against the negative stuff of the streets. It can do that. So I'll say, if you're not taking responsibility to carefully critique what your child is doing on social media, you can be for a rude awakening. And that goes for any household.
So what effects have you seen the youth that you deal with? What effects has it taken on them? What toll has it taken on them?
Well, for one, it exposes them to so much that they may not be prepared for, and more than likely they're not prepared for. And then so now when you allow that to happen, you're playing catch up. Are you on the defense? Are you being reactive rather than being able to get out in front of the social media things that are out there? It makes kids, they look at you as being out of touch. They look at you as being an interference with their popularity or their social life and everything, when you need to take time. If we would just take time to let them know, that social life that you're exposed to is fictitious.
Very much so.
It's not real at all. Your friends on social media are not necessarily right, and they're definitely not necessarily what's right for you. And again, I speak for both single parents and two-parent households. I'm speaking to you. I'm speaking to myself. Everybody has to have a part in this not my child syndrome. Stop looking at like I'm talking about somebody else, Shawn Mitchell. Look at yourself.
Right.
Look at, whoever's hearing this, look at yourself. Make sure that you're not, damaging something, but because you're not paying attention to it, So,
And like in this day and age, what scares me the most about social media is the whole like sex trafficking thing. I used to be a rape crisis counselor, so I would have to go out into the middle of the night, talk with women and have them, they had to do with police reports and do rape kits. They would be in there with their pimps and stuff. And they were young girls, maybe 15, 16 years old, and their pimps are 50 and 60 years old, and they're telling me that this is my boyfriend. So that is another thing that scares me about social media, because everybody just wants to be so in the in crowd and they want to be grown till they get involved with these people and they have no clue. I had one young lady, she told me that she was being taken from state to state and they would keep her in a cage. And she was only like 17, 18 years old. So it
See,
is
I just,
so
it's hard for me to hear those stories because I just want to just rip these guys out the frame.
Yes.
And pardon me for my violent tendency on that, but it's upsetting. And it's a lot of this stuff going on. We have 3-year-olds getting shot in our streets.
Oh, yes.
A lot of this stuff starts on social media.
Yes.
Social media beef, and so.
And I used to go to the church is called Willow Creek, and I was a part of their ministry where they dealt with global trafficking. And so they would always say that if you don't get your kid within 48 hours, there's no telling where they could be. They can be trafficked over to another country. And all this stuff can be done by way of social media. And you can think that you have a friend, like you said before, on Facebook. And they're the ones who sell you out to these people.
That's right.
So it is so big. And I don't think that we pay enough attention to it. We just say, oh, that's just a new thing. Oh, TikTok is just a new thing. Facebook, Snapchat, it's all just a new thing. But it's much more to it than that.
Yeah. So, and you don't know who's backing these different platforms that your child gets them. And people have to understand, Tammy, this is big money.
Yes.
So they can pay someone $100,000 to give them a name of a child that they think would be a good candidate for this type of trafficking.
That is true. And even like with us, when the football season comes around, that's what they do. So whenever you have a football Super Bowl, they traffic all these young ladies in for all these celebrities and billionaires. So it is so much bigger than what we think. Social media is so much bigger.
Please, parents, keep an eye on, pay attention to what your children are doing online.
Yeah.
It's just because if we don't, I'm telling you, the residual effect of these times right now, I hate to imagine if we don't get a hold of it, I hate to imagine what it'll be like. And it don't have to be like that because we have so many intelligent children, that guided and steered in the right direction. I'm telling you, there's a bunch of leaders that we're allowing to go by the wayside all because we're not paying attention.
I totally agree. Let me ask you this. So with you saying that, and that you have to, have a program to have them look at themselves about them being mean and angered and different things and entitled. So basically with their mental health, basically you're trying to address that. Because I hear now, because I have family members that are teachers, I hear now that the kids have so much anxiety and depression and, at the age of 7 and 8. And, that's kind of hard to think about. The kids have adult issues, but mentally like that. Do you see a lot of that?
Because Tammy, imagine a child that is allowed to be on there, and I'm old school, I call it gizmos and gadgets. They're allowed to be on these things. Now, in the process of them on the games or the whatever they're watching, there are interruptions that come into those things, and parents don't realize that there are different ads of things that are promoted on these tablets and these iPads that can stimulate the child's brain. If a child has not seen something before, it automatically is going to stimulate their brain. If it's colorful, if it sounds a certain way, if it looks a certain way, they're automatically going to be interested in that. So we have to make sure we are critiquing what they're interested in, because it could be something that is promoting them to take some medication for depression. This child might not have known anything about depression. So they're exuding a behavior that is learned through the media rather than through someone that cares, a professional that cares about their well-being.
Oh, wow. That sounds really tough. Have you ever had to deal with certain things where you had to go to the parents and say, well, you know what, this child needs professional help and you need to do it soon? Have you ever had to do that?
Yes. And it's one of the hardest things to do, because Tammy, no, most parents don't want to, one, assume the responsibility. Two, they don't even want to admit the fact that the child has a problem, with this, that, or the other. And you really have to, as a professional in this industry, educator, you have to really, I always say KYP, even in coaching, you have to know the personnel of your client. And so that way you can figure out the best way to present this very crucial conversation with them.
Well, kudos to you for working with them, because it takes special type of people. And a lot of times it has to be your calling to do certain things like that, to be passionate about children in order to do this job. Now, I kind of want to change gears a little bit. So I know that you have 4 sons.
Yes.
And with everything that's going on today, I want to ask you, when did you have the talk with your sons about the racial prejudices in the world?
I know a lot of people think I had that conversation early on, but I really didn't. I mean, to me, racial prejudices is a learned behavior. So I didn't want to put that in their heads. I grew up around white people and Hispanics and Asians, so I came up in a diverse town growing up in Kentucky.
Okay.
So even though it was the South, it was a border state. And we just didn't really experience that until later on in life. Now, you don't know some things you don't know until you know.
That's true.
So if we were discriminated against, I really didn't know it at that time, even though, I lived in Chicago and then I moved there. So I knew it was a difference coming from South Side to, Kentucky. But it seemed like everyone was nice until you try to go above and beyond where they expect you to be. Then is when you see the racism. And you just didn't see a lot of people trying to do that. So to your point, the conversation came later. I instilled in my sons that the police are here to protect you and we're to love everybody, et cetera, et cetera. So it was the experiences that they encountered with the police themselves is what changed their mindset about it. My son experienced a very traumatizing event after his freshman year, coming from SIU on I-57. So that was his experience, and he has PTSD, but we wasn't talking about those things, thanks to people like you, professionals like yourself, that let us understand that these things are for real. Yes. PTSD and depression and these things are real and they have to be addressed. So that's why I couldn't wait to get on here with you tonight, because, this is what you're talking about. And this is something that our community needs to know about.
And knowing what you know now with the things with George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Tamir Rice and Botham Jean, there's a plethora of names. Now, is it different than when they were growing up with the talk? Is there something now that you discuss more of? Because there has to be, for me, I think that there will have to be a conversation now because things are probably different. Because I grew up like you. I grew up diverse. I went to a Lutheran school, so I was around everybody. So I didn't experience some of these things until I was older. So what conversations do you guys have now?
Well, and the conversations we have are they're very intense because I have a huge difference in age. I have a 26-year-old and I have a 14-year-old.
Okay.
the 14-year-old has been around and has seen firsthand his brothers go through things with the police. I mean, a lot of people know it was on the news. It was public knowledge that, my son was assaulted by a police officer and they broke his knee. Well, we actually came right after that happened. So, my youngest son was able to hear the exchanges and,
oh, wow.
I was an angry father, and he saw a side of me that, he probably hadn't seen because, it was very disrespectful how, they did it. And my mother was here. They disrespected my mom and my son, my house, everything, so he experienced that. So I had to let them know that, yes, there are people out there that don't care about you the way that they should. They don't respect others the way just because they look different, or they feel that they don't have the power that they have. And that's what we're up against. I said, but the only thing we can control is how we react to it. It's hard for us because, everybody in the house has experienced it. I've experienced it from the oldest man in the house to my youngest.
Right.
So it's a conversation that you have to have with your young boys and your young girls. And we have, the Breonnas Taylors of the world.
That's
and
true.
Sandra Bland's. And so it's a conversation that we have to have in general with our children.
So has that incident with your son, because before of how you grew up and other things, so has it changed you? Was there a shift in something when that happened after that?
It's more of a shift in ignorance. I guess being an educator, I'm patient with children, but I have a very low tolerance level with adults that choose to be ignorant. And I'll stress that again. It's a choice to be ignorant, because education is free to everyone. So if you choose to look at me like I'm inferior to you because of the color of my skin, I have no control over that. That's your loss, because that means that because of that, I'm going to be 2 steps ahead of you because you see me something that I'm not. Yeah. So, and I try to instill that same understanding in my sons, and they see that all they know is their father, since they've been in this world, has had his own business. They don't really know the struggle. So I started making sure I let them understand the struggles of having your own business as a Black man in this country, and the things that you have to go through to maintain your success.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like you, my problem now is you have all these people out here. You see you have a lot of videos out here with women, white women, and they're. I think it happened with Mr. Cooper. He was out in the park walking he was out in the park bird watching, and this lady came up.
The Karens.
Yeah,
the Karens of the world.
And so now they have this plight, and they're saying that Karen is just as derogatory as the N-word. And that bothers me, because it's like nobody says, well, stop Karen, I'll shoot. Wow. Nobody knows that you're a Karen until you open up your mouth and you're in somebody else's business.
That's right.
When I walk outside, because of the color of my skin, they may not like me or they may shoot me because of that. But they have no idea what discrimination is. And that bothers me.
For them to even think that.
Yes.
That Karen is as derogatory as the N-word shows that, it's a lack of knowledge.
Yes.
Or again, a choice to have a lack of knowledge.
Yes.
Because the way you just explained it just then in all of 15 seconds, made it, I hadn't heard that, that they're looking at it as that, but you just explained it and I understood it. So.
That is how they're seeing it, and that bothers me. Now, we just had this big thing with the looting and everything. How did you feel about that? Was it to loot or not to loot? That is the question.
I say to kill or not to kill.
Yeah.
That's how I sum that up. Stop killing us.
Yes.
And people that are upset, you're a mental health professional. You don't know how people handle PTSD. You don't know how people handle being killed in the street like a dog.
You're right.
When things are projected to you day in and day out, that neck on his knee will forever be in my brain. And I'm a grown man that's been through a lot. Imagine that being an image in a 7-year-old.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah. Shawn, I have to be honest with you. I couldn't even watch the video because I had seen so much. And I just cannot see another brother go down because it bothers me. It's happening so much, and I couldn't have another image in my head of another brother dying like that. And then people were saying, well, they shouldn't loot, but those were cries. And it just wasn't for George Floyd. It was for the rest of everybody else. We have put up with so much for so long, and people have no clue what we go through on a daily basis. And sometimes I say every day you get reminded that you're Black.
Yeah.
You get reminded when you go into a store, when people are following you. You get reminded if you get pulled over. You just get reminded with how you get treated in the workplace.
That's right. That's
so
right.
Every day.
Things that we go through naturally that we have to, like you said, we talking about the talk, having to, have my sons have a plastic bag with their, when they were first driving with their driver's license and the insurance cards in a plastic bag. So if they ever get pulled over, you put that bag up on the dashboard, put your hands on the wheel, it just all of those conversations that, I didn't have that conversation as a child, when I was, first learning to drive. But that's, and things, and we're in this is 2020. I'm talking,
exactly.
in the 80s. So we're supposed to be able to say, we've surpassed certain things, but I'm having the same conversation, and even more so than my father had and his father had.
Exactly.
So
exactly, and I hope it gets better. And I'm so happy that you're in the position that you are with the youth. But let me ask you this: what can we do better? I know you said something. You talked about the parents, or what can we do better as a community? Can you see us doing something to make a change? What do we need to do?
Tammy, and I get emotional when I say this, but we have got to invest in our children, because you have to, again, look at the PTSD of all of the things that we're going through right now.
Mm-hmm.
We have too many single parent households, and this is not capital N-O-T. This is not any type of negative on my single mothers and fathers out there that are doing what they have to do. But I stand on the principle of what Malcolm X said. Malcolm X said, our Black men will continue to be disrespected by everyone else until we learn how to treat our women with respect.
Amen.
And that means if you lie down, you make a baby, you protect and provide for that child. Period. There's nothing, mothers, those mothers that are stopping these fathers from being prevalent in their child's lives, stop it, because it's only hurting the child. Yes, you're hurting for a minute, you're emotional, but it is permanently hurting the child. I always say practice makes permanent. So if we continue practicing this behavior of being abandoning our families, then it's going to be a permanent consequence that we are not going to be able to get past.
Do you think that we need to be reprogrammed? As far as a community, we need to have core classes or something that we need to go to? Because maybe, do you think that everybody's aware of what they're doing? Or do you think that, like everything else, is just a choice? What do you believe?
Yeah, it's a choice. We choose not. When you learn history, I'm really, really big in history, and I hate it because when I was a kid, I didn't like history. But now history is a part of what we do on a daily basis, is to give them some type of knowledge of history, good and the bad, good, bad, and ugly. That way we don't have to necessarily repeat what we've already gone through.
That's true.
If you look at, we've had a pandemic before. Some people don't even know that there's been a time in this country where we wore a mask and we were in a pandemic, and we went through the same things we're experiencing now. But if you don't know history, you can be told that we may not come out of this and this is going to be it for us, and you may believe it. So we continue to have to make the right choices, and education is the key to that. And I'll take it a step further. Knowledge. Because education, a lot of times people want to look at education as confined to four walls, but knowledge is universal.
That is true.
So we're trying to help with the universal approach. We've got to stop looking at what's in front of us, and we got to start thinking a little bit ahead of what's going on.
I totally agree. I totally agree. So, Mr. Shawn, we're going to kind of lighten it up a little bit. So I know that you are an author. So tell us about your book.
Ironically enough, the name of the book is called Not My Child.
Okay.
It's Not My Child is a collaborative effort my wife and I wrote between the both of us. We have over 50 years of experience in working with children. And it's just those parents that we tried to have that conversation with, that we had to, I don't even like the word try, excuse me. But I don't say try.
Mm-hmm.
I can try to pick this phone up off the floor, but or I can just bend over and pick it up.
Right.
So we have the conversations that we have with people about their children, and regardless of what information you give them, what evidence you have, whatever, a lot of times people will not believe that it's their child. Even those people that say, I'm not that type of parent, you're that type of parent. So take a moment to just look in the mirror. Don't think that I'm talking about someone else. The words that I'm saying are for you. It may be a part of this, maybe that is not you, but there may be a part that is you. That's the part that you need to address.
So basically just being self-aware.
Self-awareness, yes. Because if you're not self-aware, it's hurting the child. If you're not acknowledging that your child has a problem, then you're not helping them.
That's true.
How can you help someone if you're not even admitting that anything needs to be helped?
Yeah. And I think that's a lot going on too within our community. Some people don't think that there may be a problem. We want to just focus on the violence of what they're doing out there versus what is the root of the problem and how can we fix it? Because the violence is based off of something. They're just not going out there just doing it. Something happened somewhere. There's a disconnect.
Yes.
And we're not reaching them on that level.
We're not.
And everybody is looking for somebody else to solve that problem.
That's right. And unfortunately, we think we have everything right in the house. We have the doctor, the lawyer, the psychiatrist right in the house. Yeah. That's not the case, people. There's people out here that are really intensely studying.
Yes.
To make things better.
Yes.
So get professional assistance.
I totally agree. My philosophy is sometimes you need Jesus and medication. Both of them can work.
That's right.
Both of them. So, Shawn, tell me about some of your upcoming projects. What are you doing now?
Well, right now, I'm just getting everything prepared to move back into the building and get the business going again at limited capacity, of course. We have some musical projects, which our own one and only Miss Dozier is a part of.
Yes, yay.
We have a project, go to on YouTube. It's Imagine, and in parentheses, gospel, and it's a song. The message is for such a time as this.
Yes, and, definitely.
It's a classic song that everyone knows and loves by John Lennon, and we put our own spin on it. So please check that out. I'm also working on some other things. I'm promoting healthy marriages. I have a song that I'm working on. It's called All I Need Is You.
Okay.
And I have another project with the kids that I'm doing. It's called I Am. And it's basically just a self-empowerment song and letting them know that they can achieve anything that God sees fit for them to do, fulfill their purpose. Yeah, so that's the musical projects that's going on right now. And we just continue to want to try to educate people and help them to understand the importance of being involved. In the community, period. If involved in voting, if you're a politician and you're a person of integrity, then run. And I will assist you in running and let you know everything you need to do to get your ducks in a row so that you can run. If you're interested in work study, we constantly looking for developing talent. I work with Spot Theater, as you know, with you.
Yes.
And we do plays and we act, and we're constantly trying to bring young people, get them involved so that you have something to do. We've got to get our children involved and keep them busy.
Definitely. I do appreciate, as you're talking about the project that I was on, the Imagine project, I do appreciate it. And I'm honored that you even asked me. I'm like, Shawn, think that I can do this. And thank you. I was very honored to do that. Now, if someone is interested in contacting you or being a part of your work study, or just having their kids just, or parents just want to talk to you maybe about your book or purchase your book, how can we get in contact with Shawn Mitchell?
You can contact me by, you can 708-283-5706. That's my office number, and I'll repeat that, 708-283-5706. You can contact me via email at eworkstudy@gmail.com. Again, that's eworkstudy@gmail.com. Our website is workstudyenterprises.com, workstudyenterprises.com.
How do we get your book?
Oh, the book. Contact me. I have to order some more, so they won't be available for another 3 weeks.
Okay.
But you can call me, and I can definitely put your name down and get for those orders to come on in.
Awesome. Now, my last question that I have for you is, when it's all said and done, what legacy do you want to leave behind?
I want to leave a legacy that people understand the importance of giving back. If you do not give back and you not take the responsibility on yourself to give back, who do you trust to give back? And that's something that you really have to be. Who better than yourself to give the knowledge and the experience that you have to the next generation? And if you don't know anybody, then it goes back to the first question. You better give back so you can pass the torch. That's it. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Shawn, so much. I've enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you. Can I hear a little bit of that Imagine?
Oh, yeah, I don't know about that one. All right. Well, thank you so much. And I want to thank you for being on What Happens in This House Stays in This House, Strength Over Silence podcast. Again, my name is Tammy Dozier, Montgomery Dozier. I am your host, and I can be reached at 773-251-5537, 773-251-5537, and my email address is tammym@cboconsulting.net. And I want to let you know that, everyone, we are all connected by love, and we can make these changes together. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.